Hello from the Full Ahead podcast.
I'm Alistair Eagles.
And I'm Nigel Thompson, and we're welcoming you to Season 2 of the podcast.
Season 2, a whole year on. 1 year of the Full Ahead podcast and some exciting episodes on the way.
Yeah, we've been travelling all around the UK and Europe in our first season. We've already uncovered some amazing stories and met some brilliant members of the maritime community.
And in this series, we're going to be stepping up a gear as we're now proudly sponsored by Stena Line, the Irish Sea's leading ferry company.
Yeah, this means we're able to set our sights on delving a little deeper and exploring even more of this fascinating industry. Coming up, we're meeting the tug captain who's become a digital influencer.
There's a real variety in viewers, it seems. There's people that don't know anything about boats. Like, people have asked me, like, how do you get paid? I've got bank transfer. They're not sending cash down on the tow line. You know, like, I'm employed. So many comments from people saying they don't know why it's come up on their algorithm. I'm a bit flabbergasted by the whole thing, but I'm loving it, so.
And I've been to Finland, to the Åland Islands, to a maritime conference with a difference.
We have two ships, Global Mercy and Africa Mercy, and we can host about 2,000 patients and crew at the same time.
Why are you here and why are you supporting Mercy ships?
Oh, well, it's a good cause, so we have to support it. And it's nice to do something good with your co-workers.
This is Full Ahead.
But we start this series by revisiting a guest from the very first episode of the Full Ahead podcast.
On behalf of Caledonian MacBrayne and the crew, I'd like to welcome you on board the Isle of Islay for this sailing to Port Tasking.
It's very rare we get invited onto the bridge of a ship, and even rarer we get invited onto the bridge of a relatively new ship. But that's what's happened today. Glorious day to be on the bridge of CalMac's brand new state-of-the-art ferry.
Yeah, on the Isle of Islay in the sunny port of Kennacraig, just getting ready for departure to head off to the Isle of Islay, and looking forward to the voyage.
And we're in safe hands because a friend of the podcast is actually taking a key role on the bridge, isn't he, this afternoon?
Yep, Harvey Finney, who featured in the very first episode of the Full Ahead podcast, is back. He's now working for CalMac, and he's going to take the ship out of harbour here and across on the voyage to Islay. So it's going to be good to meet up with Harvey. It's going to be good to see this brand new CalMac vessel, and good just to see a positive news story about CalMac. There's been lots of negative press about CalMac for some obvious reasons in the press recently, but this is the first of 4 new vessels delivered from Turkey, been in service for 2 or 3 months now. We're going to get a good look around the ship, meet some of the people, and hear some of the stories about what goes on up here on the west coast of Scotland.
Okay, we'll give everything a quick test then. So, Voigt, sink on port stick, we'll thrust into the berth. Okay, coming in. Okay, forward thruster, thrust into port.
Number 1 to port.
And after thruster, thrust into port as well.
And number 2 to port.
And responding. Okay, that's all controls. Taking tested, responding over on the port wing now.
Looking very much at home on the bridge, Harvey took time to tell us more about the ship as we navigated the channel out from Kennacraig.
I'm just doing it at the moment, just pinning her in alongside the pier there. Just obviously we've got a wind that's blowing us onto the berth anyway, so that's naturally keeping us alongside. What it means as well is it just holds us in there as we start to release some of the lines. A bit more effective if you have an offshore wind that's blowing you off the berth, but even so we just like to pin her in alongside, ready for departure. So I've got everything synced on this port stick here, so both voids are being controlled on this one at the moment.
I'm ready for ready for aft.
Okay, let go please.
I'll fore and aft, let go. Clear the gun port. Clear around.
Clear around, okay, on the move now. So we'll thrust her over to starboard, head up into the wind first, to lift the bow off. Nice slow departure, we just feel the wind starting to blow us back down a bit there, so we lift the stern off, and we'll start playing around for the channel as well. Now the pier's clear, I can look the right direction. Look ahead.
Stand clear.
Let it slowly increase. So we drive the departure over here on the bridge wing so we can get a full view down the side of the vessel. Once we're nice and clear and we're happy, what we'll do is we'll change over the steering to the middle, where our quartermaster, who's our helmsman, they'll take over the steering. I'll still be obviously driving in command of the vessel, but they'll take over the actual physical steering part there. But it's nice and quiet up here, not many vibrations, and if anything you wouldn't actually know you're at sea at the moment. stand by for the wheel. So, okay, Gary, if you want to stand by the wheel, please.
I'm standing by.
Standing by, thanks. We'll transfer in just a second. So before we transfer the controls into the centre, just make sure that she's nicely steadied up on a course there. She isn't going to go anywhere we don't want her to go. And then we'll transfer in.
Transfer.
Your look inside the world of ships and shipping. This is Full Ahead.
She's very responsive to turn. We've got 2 Voice Schneider propulsors down aft, which are completely different to anything that other vessels have. So it's not like a conventional propeller and rudder arrangement. It's basically a set of 5 blades that point down into the water, and they generate thrust essentially, meaning that we can basically put the vessel wherever we like. And as a result, it means she turns almost instantaneously and can pretty much be stopped instantaneously as well. So it's a very manoeuvrable, very capable system to have.
225.
225, thank you.
When it pulled away, it was so smooth. There was no little vibration at all. It was just so and also the acceleration as well. 11 knots in literally a few minutes, 2 minutes.
Yeah, she's very, very impressive. She could go even faster if we wanted to. We just try to regulate it there, obviously, for the board, for the grid. What we're doing now, we'll just follow the pilotage route that we have outbound down the West Lock. So we've left Kennacraig now, we're heading over for Islay, for Port Askig. So we'll follow our route across. Route takes us down the West Lock, which is quite a narrow place, quite shallow in places, so we have to be careful where we are. Not very tidal though, so that's really something we have to worry about, and it's generally quite sheltered down here as well. Once we get out, we'll turn to starboard, hang a right basically, and we point between Islay and Jura, and we'll head for MacArthur's Head. Again, there the weather generally is quite sheltered. You get quite a lot of lee from the Isle of Islay there, which is our namesake, of course. So it's generally quite a pleasant crossing, and you've both picked a lovely day for it, to be honest.
Is this a buoyed? It's not a buoyed channel here, Harvey?
No, it's not a buoyed channel at all. In fact, there's very minimal navigational marks. There's a few perches here and there, 1 or 2 lights, more down towards the far end. But other than that, it's just based on our pilotage routes that we have. Yes, it's very rare you'll find buoyed channels around here. Mostly you'll find little perches or little sticks in the mud almost. It's again, with steering, because the voice system is completely different to a normal steering system where you give helm orders. Generally now we're either giving courses or we're using visual reference marks, basically aiming at something, or just giving a course to steer, and that's what the QM, the quartermaster who's next to me, is doing.
And in terms of the kind of layout, I mean, it does look like a Game Boy. You've got very, very small, big screens, small kind of handles and things, lots of LEDs, lots of readouts. It's almost like too much information, it seems.
There's a lot. It's an integrated bridge system, so everything talks to one another, which is good. So you can filter out a lot of the information you don't necessarily need instantly and just put it into one place, so you can just sort of glance across and see what you need to see in a hurry there. And if you want to, you can interrogate things more. So we're going to make the next course alteration now. So 215, please.
215.
So what we do, it's like a closed loop communication system. So when I give an order, the quartermaster who had a steering will repeat it back. Once on that course, they'll repeat the course and I'll repeat it back. So it's a closed loop system, so everybody knows what's happening and they've confirmed it.
In terms of depth, what's the channel like? How deep have we got?
Well, at the minute you've got about 8 metres of water underneath here, so not particularly much. We draw about 3.5 metres roughly. So we're not particularly deep, but it's certainly shallow enough. If you look on the chart just over there, you see you've got sort of your 6 metres, 5 metres, but very quickly it jumps away to sort of 2-3 metres. 215, thank you. Obviously these channels are ever changing, so they get surveyed and things like that to make sure that we're following the best route basically. But the channels are fairly well established now, so it's very little changes really.
How does it compare to a bridge that you're perhaps used to when you're training? You've been on a number of ships. How does it compare to perhaps the first ship you were on, which I know was back in Barrow many years ago?
It was, yeah. Totally different, to be honest. The technology was still rather high tech for the time, but completely different to what you've got here. You know, you didn't have that integrated bridge system. The bridge was designed as more like a deep sea going vessel, which didn't manoeuvre very often, so you didn't have all the manoeuvrability and the controls for doing so. Whereas here, obviously, you can see there's many levers, dials, buttons, and things, because we're roughly every 2 hours we're carrying out manoeuvres, you know, in and out of ports. So it's a totally different design. And again, I've worked on ships that are a lot older, with completely separate standalone systems. Some of our older vessels are like that as well, to be honest. But it all adds to the fun, keep it interesting.
I mentioned responsiveness. When pulling away from the dock there, it was pretty quick. Does that compare favourably to a traditional kind of prop-driven ship where you have that lag almost before you kind of get the power?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, she's a lot better. She's an absolute dream to drive, to be honest. And it's completely different to a prop vessel. As I say, when you've got propellers and rudders, you need a flow of water over the rudder to be able to steer. So you need to have the props turning. As a result, you then need to be moving ahead, because when they go astern, they don't steer at all, if not very well, you know. Whereas in this, with the Voigt Schneiders, you can steer ahead, astern, any direction. So it's totally different. Totally way of driving.
Does it take some getting used to, though?
It does, yeah. It takes quite a lot of getting used to, quite a lot of practice. Again, the way we steer it, it's almost like a bit of a tiller, so you point the stick where you want the stern to go, opposed to like a wheel. So it takes a lot of getting used to, but we're getting there slowly but surely.
The ship features a specialised marine propulsion system that we're going to talk quite a bit about, known as a Voigt Schneider propeller. It's able to change the direction of thrust almost instantly and is used on tugs and now an increasing number of ferries. So, into the engine room.
So we're down in the engine control room now with a big window looking out over the 4 generators that run the ship. So it's a bit of a different kind of style of operation. There aren't normal propeller shafts and propellers. This is driven by these Voigt Schneider kind of vertical propellers with 5 blades coming down on each one. And the generators basically electrically power the motors that run these 2 Voigt Schneider propellers. So it's kind of a more compact engine room than maybe you'd normally expect, because it can be, you don't have the tail shaft running out the back of the generators. And Harvey, the ship's basically running on 3 of these generators at any one time, but you've got a 4th generator as a kind of spare, so you can have one in maintenance at any period?
Yeah, generally so, yeah, 3 or maybe 4 generators, plus we also have the battery bank, so we run a sort of like a hybrid setup there. So she's quite efficient, and eventually the plan is for shore power as well to be fitted, so of a night time when the vessel's alongside she'll be even greener, because she'll be plugged into the grid.
Yeah, and those batteries, they're all about kind of flattening the load, so a bit like a Formula 1 car, you can use the engine power but also the battery power to give a boost. And then the shore power in the future is more about just providing the ship's power at night, so you can keep the lights on, keep the aircon on, not run any generators, and have a nice quiet ship alongside.
And not polluting the environment, which is obviously one of our key aims at this moment in time as well.
And it's several engine rooms, and this is because it's the cleanest, because it's brand new, but also there's not much vibration, it's not as hot as most engine rooms as well. It's
quite a pleasant experience, to be honest. Yeah, it's actually quite nice in here, so it's one of the nicer engine rooms. And even out there as well, it's quite pleasant for the guys to work in, and it's certainly in the storerooms thing. There's plenty of space in the workshop there. It's very well thought out, definitely.
And then looking across onto the control panel here, we've got some CCTV where we can see what's going on in the engine room, but also a fantastic view straight down over the bow, looking out towards the island. And it looks like we're not too far from the port, so maybe we should get back upstairs and have a look out at the ship arriving into Port Escape.
So we'll leave the bowels of the engine room and head back to the bridge, just in time for our arrival. It's busy here, isn't it?
It's a mad little period of time, as every ferry port is when the ships are in. But yeah, amazing day, blue sky, quite a wind, bit of a chop coming down the channel here, but just amazing views across the Jura, and busily loading to leave, I think, hopefully in the next 20 minutes. Yeah, we're here for the podcast, but I'm definitely coming back for leisure at some point very soon.
I mean, here's one of the 2 distilleries on the island as well. I've heard tale tell.
Yeah, I hear so. Whiskey is not my thing, to be honest, but for those that is, this is the place to be, I think. Islay is well known for its whiskey, and I think CalMac's are just getting ready for a real surge in passenger numbers, and the ship's getting ready to maybe accept the biggest number of passengers it has done so far in its short life.
We've discharged and we're just reloading the ship now, bound for Kennacraig very shortly. At the moment we're just using, we've got 2 mez decks that we can potentially use on board the ship. Mezzanine decks basically allow us extra space, so we can stick cars both above, on top of it, and below it as well, so it increases, in theory almost doubles the vehicle deck capacity. So we've got 2 on here. On the port side we can take up to 16 vehicles, and on the starboard side up to 8, and that also still allows us to take quite a lot of commercial vehicles in a high lane down the centre. So what's happening at the moment is our loading officers are down there. They're working through the last few bits of cargo that's coming on, so we generally load sort of smaller bits first, the cars, the vans, motorhomes, and then later on we'll take the bigger stuff, the more commercial units, down in the commercial lanes towards the very end there. And obviously when we're loading, it's all about utilising every single little bit of space that we have, because obviously we're not a massive ship, we are quite a nice laid out vehicle deck and a ship with a nice vehicle deck, but you've got to utilise it to the maximum. And the loads that we get here are quite unique in that obviously we're serving a lifeline community. So as you've got just coming over the ramp now, you've got like an oil tanker, then you'll have just a normal curtain sided trailer. You can see just on the now and here that one of the AM transports is reversing back into position, so they're utilising every single little spot there. Meanwhile, our guys on the quay side and the shore, they're obviously marshalling all the vehicles down, guiding them the right way, and also making sure they don't jump on the Jura ferry by accident, because she's right next door to us.
That's what strikes me. I mean, I'm used to working in a ferry terminal that is kind of, sterile in a way. You've got a ship, you've got a sterile terminal with a big fence around it, you control everything that happens in the terminal. The port here is typical of a kind of Scottish island port. The ship's door goes down, immediately there's a roundabout. Now that is a normal roundabout on a normal road. Across from that we've got the RNLI lifeboat office, we've got the shop round the corner, we've got the hotel across the way, we've got fishing boats, we've got the ferry that goes to Jura, and everything is kind of congregating around this roundabout. The actual yard where the traffic is are 200-300 metres up the hill, and it, to the untrained eye it seems like a chaotic kind of scene, but it all happens. And I guess come back here in half an hour's time, peace will descend, the roads will quieten down, and there'll just be a serene kind of Scottish little port. But at the moment, it's a crazy place, and but it's working.
It does. It's like you say, it's pretty much organised chaos, and it is that, as you say, it's a public highway just there. There's a roundabout. You can have foot passengers who just walk up to the ship. When we arrive, and as soon as we drop the ramp, there'll be drivers there waiting to bring the unaccompanied units off. They'll just walk straight on. Sometimes even as the ramp's still moving, even though you're shouting away, telling them to stop, they'll just jump on board. They're locals. They're used to it now, and the ferry is their lifeline, and this is what serves the community for them. But as you say, it's a typical little Scottish port. It's quite a little bonny place as well. And if you look down the way, down the sound, you can see all down past Jura, down past Islay. You've got all the beautiful fauna and the trees about the place. It's very idyllic as well.
And that's going out. These lorries as well. It's quite important. They're very expensive. Luxury item. It goes all over the world.
It
about
certainly
whiskey,
is.
Of course.
Whiskey, yeah.
This is vital, isn't it? If this ferry doesn't run, that vital kind of export doesn't go anywhere, does it?
Exactly, and these ships are sort of designed with that in mind, in that cargo has to be, an optimum position on board this vessel, in that we need to be able to take a lot of it. Previous vessels that have served this route have been very good at doing that, but now as the island has grown and developed over the years, and that whiskey trade has grown, and as you say, it is international now, we need to be able to meet that demand. So, and that's what we're now giving the island, is that additional demand to meet what's actually being asked of us.
And looking north across the bridge, we're looking out to the Isle of Mull and Ben More on the Isle of Mull, and up to Oban, where I know the ship visits kind of every weekend. But yeah, just an amazing little place. And then out to sea, it's quite windy out there, but also it's very tidal here. We can have 7 knots of tide running past the berth. So
absolutely,
yeah, not an easy place to bring a ship. But clearly when the ship gets in here, a very efficient operation in what are quite challenging circumstances ashore, I would say.
I was just chatting to 2 of the passengers on the Jura ferry, which is the one the James is currently doing, and they had some trepidation. It's a flat bottom boat, as Alistair was saying, 7 knot tide as well. They were a little bit apprehensive, having come off this, about to go on that, but a little bit of nervousness or something there. And they're about to spend the night on the hills. They're doing all the Corbett's now. They've done
brilliant.
They've done the Munros, they've done the Corbett's. I thought that was pretty impressive.
It's pretty impressive, isn't it?
That's hardcore.
Because that's the thing, when you see the James going across, especially from that strong tide, she's pointing pretty much down the way, completely the wrong way from her direction and where her destination is, but really because of the tide and the wind, she's just sort of drifting across there in a controlled manner. So it's really quite a sight to behold, And
is that any mind that, despite, as you say, the technology on the ship is amazing, the fact that when we pull away, we'll barely notice that the engines are underway and off we go. But there's always got to bear in mind Mother Nature. The tidal race might be stronger, things like that. I mean, is this, despite the technology, despite the kind of the training and the rest of it, you've got to keep that extra kind of your wits about you.
Absolutely, that's your fundamentals. It's your bread and butter, these things. And we always say it's the Mark 1 eyeball that is the ultimate navigational tool, using your eyes, feeling the elements, seeing what's actually happening out there. You can look at equipment all day long and see what's happening, but to actually get a realistic picture, you'll see it quicker by eye or by feeling this or hearing it than you will do looking at a screen. So it's using all these things, your local knowledge of the area, using the wind, tide to your advantage. And again, with the manoeuvring and driving of the ships, it's a case of, if you don't have to do anything, you don't do it. You know, you let the wind do the job for you, you let the tide do the work for you, minimal inputs, and just to correct and check her as she goes.
You're part of a long line of people who've served on ships like this, going back way back, over 100 odd years. I mean, do you feel that sense of kind of, I guess, pride, but also responsibility to keep this lifeline going, keep the service running, maintain the kind of reputation the company has?
Absolutely, and I'd say the islands are sort of the heart of our operation. You know, they make us what we are, and this is the whole part of it. You know, it's the people who make CalMac, but it's also the islands that are such a big part and a key part of this operation. And we're serving them, and it's all good and well talking about it when you're on the mainland and sat back at home, you know, saying, oh, you've got an island here who does, you know, they produce whiskey and they transport it. But when you actually see it here in action, when you're working on board the vessel, when you're transporting these goods day to day, that's when you really feel and see it. And when you speak to the people who live here, who work here, who commute, that's when you really feel and see the difference that you're making, and that's probably what motivates you to do the job most as well.
So compared to where you were before, the cross channel, which again I know we were talking about it only a few months ago, and you were saying, you know, it's a challenge. It's a different challenge here, isn't it? I guess, and very much you speak to passengers day in, day out.
Yeah.
And just what you've been saying, you get the kind of the sense of why you do what you do.
Absolutely, and it's almost like a family affair type thing, because a lot of passengers travel with us regularly. People go from the islands to the mainland to go for shopping, you know. So a lot of people passengers on first name terms with, you know, people know you, people get to know you, and it is almost like a second family away. I mean, you have another family almost here on the ship as a crew, but then you've got all these locals as well who you get to know, get used to. It's just such a lovely place. It really is.
Let's ask Alistair if he'd be happy the amount of freight and the amount of passengers on this ship, and if this was your ship, are you happy with the load?
It seems like not a bad sailing, to be fair. I mean, yeah, it seems pretty full. So, yeah, it'd be good to talk to some more passengers on the way back and see their experience.
Up on the sun deck, enjoying some welcome sunshine, we met Joanne, who was on her way home after embarking on a quest to find details of her family's links to Islay.
Is this your first time onto the island of Islay, or have you been here before?
Never been here before, so this is our first time. So we went for a little bit of a recce because my mum, who passed away 3 years ago, her family are from Islay, and we wanted to go and start to dig around and find out more about her, find more about her family, because we've managed to track it back 6 generations at the moment. So we've spent some time today going down to the Gaelic Centre, so they're going to help us do a little bit of digging as well in terms of finding out a little bit more about them.
What have you heard so far, and what have you gleaned?
Oh, what we gleaned? Well, we've gone back 6 generations, and we know that they're from Bowmore and Port Ellen. We know that they may have been working in the brewery industry as well, and have some crofts in the area too. So we're digging about, got quite a lot of intel, and then what we're going to do is we're going to kind of head back, send the Gaelic Centre some more stuff, a little bit of our family tree and genealogy, and then they're going to help us sort of dig around the census.
You're going to be hoping that you're in some way related to the current owners of one of the distilleries. It'll be worth millions.
Beautiful, absolutely. And that's what I was saying to my brother and sister when we were driving over. I said, Catherine, we have never been able to find money in our family. Maybe this is the time.
Maybe this is the time.
Maybe this is the one.
And you've been lucky enough to come on board the brand new ship as well. So the brand new Isle of Islay, just 2 or 3 months in operation now. And how are you finding the new ship? You've obviously been on a range of different CalMac vessels over the years, but how does she compare?
I think she's really lovely. I think she's really quite beautiful, actually. Really well kitted out. I think it's just lovely to sit on a really new ship, isn't it? I feel quite proud, actually, because it's had such a bad press, hasn't it? It's got quite political as well, got quite political before the Scottish election. So it's just really lovely to see this. It feels, it feels good. It feels quite powerful. Yeah, it's good.
I think Lifeline ferry services, obviously the people on the island, it's their way off the island. Absolutely. And I guess it's always going to get a bit political, and CalMac have had their fair share of difficult times in the past few years. And to me, it's just great to see a really nice ship running kind of well with good numbers of passengers and freight, and the sun shining helps a bit as well. I
think it's the first of class. There's 4, or will be 4 of these ships as well. So this is the pioneering kind of first one. So if this goes well, then hopefully the 3 will go well, and the services might improve. So can you see yourself being tempted back then? Is this be a return? You mentioned hopefully you have good ties to the island. Do you think you'll be using this again in the future?
Oh, definitely, yeah. If we find money in the family, we'll be back. Yeah, we'll be over in a shot.
My email address is...
That is not a problem. That is not a problem. We will give you an email, but the chances of that are very slim, because finding money in our family is going to be... It's just not going to happen.
And the sister ship, the second ship of this class, is actually coming onto this route too. So very soon there'll be 2 sisters going back and forth. and there's going to be an upgrade of the port facilities,
Right.
so she can operate to both ports then, because obviously only going to Port Ascade at the moment. So yeah, watch this space, but it's going to be a good place to come if you like new CalMac's ships anyway.
Oh,
So
that's really good. And it's great for the infrastructure, and it's great for Scotland, and it's great for the islanders, isn't it? It really is.
On our way here, we had the Lord of the Isles, which is quite a little older ship, but still nice. And we were surprised because we didn't actually know that was we did know it was the Isle of Islay on the way back, but we did not know, we hadn't gotten ourselves to information about the ship, and I just got myself some information. And, well, it's brilliant. Our maiden journey was by the end of March, 26 or so. It's just fantastic.
Is there something that appeals that you like over the other ships? Is there anything that stands out?
I like what I like over this particular ship. Well, I don't know, it's the general appearance and the space. It almost feels like, I said to my friend, like we're Star Trek fans, it has something of 10 forward deck, you know. But it's nice, and it's very pleasant, spacey, good food, as I can give my personal quality seal for. But
so could you see yourself coming again? Would you use it again if you had the chance?
Of course, we would. I don't know what routes the Isle of Islay will actually take in the future, but of course we'll definitely come back.
And what do you make of Scotland as a place to visit? You've come a long way.
Well, we'll come again and again, because my first time in Scotland was 1998, and I've been studying at the University of Edinburgh from decades ago when I had my year, and it always, I always felt at home in Scotland, and I will, and maybe if I have the chance, I'll go retire to a wee cottage on Islay.
And we also met some of those looking after the passengers, including steward Martian Eustock, who joined the ship when it was brand new in Turkey.
So we've moved down to the crew mess, a hive of activity with the main galley just in front of us here, and we're sat with Martin, who's the second steward on the Isle of Islay. And you've been on the ship again for the delivery voyage from Turkey?
Yes, I've been from the beginning on delivery voyage. I've been in a shipyard in Istanbul. I've been taking part of this rescue as well on around Gibraltar. So lots of experience, lots of things happening from the beginning of these vessels, and now we're on the run. Very busy day today, and it's a beautiful weather. So people are actually enjoying the scenery and the areas we've got available for them on the ship.
And the ship can take 450 people if it's totally full. I imagine that doesn't happen very often, but I think there's about 200 people on the ship today plus the crew.
Yes, that's about 200 people on the ship today. But next week is a whiskey festival in Islay, so we would like to see the full capacity, how we can cope in our passenger areas with passengers. Also how the galley going to work, how the cafeteria setup is going to work. So everything is going to be new for us, but we're looking forward to have a full capacity of passengers.
What's the record so far? The ship's been in operation for a couple of months now. What's your highest PC so far?
For the passengers?
Yeah.
Today is actually quite day, I would say there is about 200 passengers. So this is the highest peak. Everybody probably had food today, so we've been flatting out as well and very, very busy. But everybody been happy. I speak with a few passengers, and they've been actually really enjoying our macaroni and fish and chips.
How many people work in the galley? How many crew have you got in the galley?
You'd be surprised, it's only 3 people in the galley, and the third person is also helping in a crew mess as well. So we actually try to help the galley as much as we can. We try to help with the crew mess, and also we try to help with doing dishes.
We've had a look around the vessel, and I have to say the passenger areas are fantastic. I know she's a new vessel, but it just seems really airy, big windows, nice places to sit and look out for the passengers. And I imagine you're getting a good reaction to the vessel from passengers so far, or are the islanders hard to please?
Well, people from the island, I think they've got sentimental value to Finlagen. which is for me is good because I'm from Poland and the Finlagan was built in Poland.
Roman Tower. Yeah.
So they've got really sentimental value, and actually the main thing they pick that there is no coffee cabin available, and here is only one restaurant area when the food is served and drinks as well. So I think Whiskey Festival, few more people when I look for a coffee cabin which we don't have of any of those new vessels, neither of this one or another 3 vessels built in the shipyard in Istanbul.
And whatever you do, someone is always going to be unhappy, I guess. But
it's always unhappy. But do you know what? We've got little miniatures as well of whiskey. You can buy them all the time in here, and nothing gonna stop you to break your own stuff on a vessel when we're crossing. You know, so I think from that point of view, everything is compact but well designed. There's airy and nice. It's lots of glass to clean, I must admit.
Yes, true.
We've got actually one person doing nights, and she's designated to clean lots of glass. So as you came today, the boat is spotless, it's nice and clean. But it's a lot of hard work of my whole team to deliver that. So every day, everything looks brand new, and this is our target: just make passengers happy and have a good meal and have a good experience on our vessel.
We've been taking lots of photographs as we've been walking around, but we will try and keep our dirty fingerprints off the windows then for you and try and reduce the workload. But yeah, it's great to talk to you and interesting to hear about the passengers and how you look after them. And yeah, and another person that's worked for CalMac for a long number of years, for over 10 years. And it seems to be people work for CalMac for a long time. They come here and never seem to leave. A good place to work? You enjoy working for CalMac?
For me as a family guy, I've got 3 lovely daughters and a wife. I think this is a good job for a family guy. I live in Stornoway in Isle of Lewis. Before I live in Isle of Harris as well. Great people, great community in both of those islands. Obviously they call me a townie, but my heart will be still in Harris. I feel like I adopted Heroch basically. Even we came from Poland only for seasonal job first year. We work really hard and make our connections with all community in Harris, and we've been accepted. And from that day, I think this island is specific. I think Isle of Islay's got the same kind of connections. Once you come here, you fall in love and you just stay. So for me, it's something new to be in Isle of Islay. But I've noticed that people are lovely and they're looking after the vessel as well. Nobody leave a tray with the food leftovers. Everybody try to help and bring the dishes back to the cleaning station. So I really appreciate that. I work on that kind of run when the people actually take us a proud to be a privilege to have a vessel like that, helping community.
That's great to hear. And you've got this amazing combination between a Polish accent, but every so often you get a hint of the Western Isles. And yeah, I think you've been in Scotland maybe long enough now. Yeah.
I think it's as I'm a half caste now. But, every time I go on a holiday, people say, "Do you know what? You sound like a Scottish, but you're not." so all I can answer is "oh I," and that's what I can say. But I agree. I think I came with very poor English 17 years ago to Scotland, and my teachers been all people from Harris. So I don't have any other accent than maybe a kind of Scottish and Island accent, I would say, and I'm happy with that. You know.
And we met Tina and Lindsay, looking after passengers in Lindsay's case for over 2 decades.
25 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Just been awarded with the Long Service Award, literally on the crossing today, for 25 years of service. And yeah, you must have seen some changes in that time in terms of the ships and the different routes you've been on.
Oh yes, a lot of changes. At the start I was away, I stayed in Campbelltown, so I was in college in Glasgow, but I didn't like college and I didn't like being away from home. So my sisters and my dad actually worked with the company. So back then you didn't even need an interview, so I actually just got on the boats and that was it. Been on ever since.
And Tina, you're a much newer employee. You've only been here for 6 years, which in CalMac's sense is like you've just started work really. So, but you're both doing a similar role. Lindsay, you're full-time crew, but Tina, you're kind of just doing the easy summer months.
No, I had the winter off.
So when the weather gets bad, you go home. When the weather's good, you just go. It sounds like you've got the best job here, Tina.
I enjoy the way I work at CalMac for the 6 months and then have some winter sun.
And Lindsay, what's it like to be here all year round? Because we're talking on quite a flat, calm day today. This is nothing, is it? But what's it like in the depths of winter when it's blowing a bit?
It's actually okay. This run's not too bad. We don't really tend to get that many bad weather in this run. I've been on other runs before that have been really bad up north, but here it's actually okay. It's fine.
Is this your kind of home run? Do you stay on this one?
Yep, because I'm from Campbelltown, so I've got 2 kids at home, so I like to be in the home run.
Yeah.
And what's popular in the galley today? What are the passengers eating? What is the meal of choice for someone on this crossing?
Fish and chips, definitely.
Every time?
It's always fish and chips, yeah.
Not just on a Friday, it's every day,
No,
is it?
it's every day, yeah. Right. Fish. It used to be macaroni, CalMac's.
Yeah.
But now
yesterday we had 11 Scandinavians just wanting 11 fish and chips.
Yeah. Fish and chips.
So you've served your fair share of fish and chips over the years then, basically.
Right. Come on, that's just the way she says it, fish and chips. Do you sometimes feel like saying to people when you say what do you want to eat, and say fish and chips, you go, oh come on, there's a whole menu here.
There's stuff there yet.
we had meatballs today, they were very nice.
One thing about CalMac's seems to be the crew seem to be quite a good team and everyone seems to get on. Maybe that's not what happens under the surface, but at least outwardly you seem to be a really close-knit group of people and get on well and have a laugh but get the job done in a professional manner. I mean, it's a good...
do go on because it's like your family. You're living with them for 2 weeks, so you just become like family.
It's a long time if you don't go on with somebody you're working with the whole time. Yeah, you actually spend more time with your boat family than what you do actually at home a lot of the time.
And as we pull back into Kennacraig after our round trip to the island, it's good to hear from Captain Barry Scott, who assesses the story so far and shares his hopes for the future.
So far so good, and that's us just using it in our PM2, the second mode, because we're scared to use the powerful mode because we think it'll be too aggressive. But it does bode well for the future.
I guess once you get used to these systems, the systems are more manoeuvrable, more powerful, but just that in-between kind of stage coming from a conventional vessel to a new style of vessel, that's quite a change, I guess.
Yeah, 100%, and the idea of going to Voith, they're more expensive units, but CMAL and on behalf of CalMac and the Scottish Government are investing the money to try and make our service more resilient. And then, yeah, you're right, the bit that we have to teach is ourselves. So as the captains of the boat, myself, my back-to-back, and the middleman, the 3 of us that are here, we're the guinea pigs. We had to do the learning. So 3 days of intense simulator training in Germany. Doesn't sound like a lot, and it's not really. You still get the butterflies the first time you use it in a £50 million vessel, so you're scared to break it, but somebody had to be the first, so it was us. But glad to say we've got through that initial stage, and we've got the whole summer to kind of build our experience and build the experience of all the crew around us. I've got teams up here that are monitoring what I'm doing, and the best way for them to be able to do that is to know what I'm doing at the sticks. So that's by getting them driving, so that they can see if I'm putting the stick the wrong way. If you have that moment where you forget you're not in a conventional ship and you're on a Voith controlled vessel.
Which I guess can happen, can't it? I mean, surely when you're kind of so used in CalMac's since 2005, you kind of old habits die hard, don't they? It's a fact, isn't it? When you're under pressure and you've got other things to think about as well.
That's the bit we've not had yet. Yeah. It's that. Does your mind kick into the old training when things aren't quite going right with the berthing? And that's why we do the integrated. We've got the bridge team where there is people there always watching you, and that's where I'm keen for everybody to get a go at handling the vessel as soon as they can, so that if they see me putting the stick and driving it towards the pier when I'm hurtling down at speed, they can say other way. Yeah, so it's a shared experience for everybody.
And even just then we were berthing in kind of 25 knots with the wind blowing onto the berth, and it seemed very calm and very easy, but you must have had some winds higher than that since the ship's been here. I mean...
Oh yeah, definitely. When we came back through med training, we were in 90 knot winds at times. Unpredictable weather that was going through the area at the time, and certainly wasn't forecast. That was when the vessel was at sea, obviously. But
in terms of berthing, what's the kind of wind speed where you would kind of start to really say, is this sensible? Do you have a limit on that?
Yeah, well, everybody's got their own limit. It's always the master's discretion, depending on your own experience. the experience of the vessel, and we're still building the experience of the vessel, so we don't know what it can do yet. So we've got to start at a sensible level and then work around. So that she has been operated in speeds up to about 35, 40 knots, and she's coped really well thus far, and hopefully will. You don't want to keep pushing the envelope because everything's got its ceiling point, like not just the vessel, the people, but there's so many factors that go into deciding whether you're leaving the ship. Like I said, things that people wouldn't automatically think of, like I said, MESs, you've got to deploy those in an emergency. They've got limiting wind speeds, but people don't see that, and then when we're cancelling sailings, it's not because the vessel or the person that sticks can do it, it's because it's the sensible decision to make, because you can't always push the envelope, because when you do that constantly, one day you'll get caught out.
And if something did go wrong, then the real criticism would come in. Why did you sail? Why did you do this? And the sensible decision is always the safe decision. And
and we're still at the learning process. So at the time of year, although delivering a vessel in January and bringing it back from Turkey was far from ideal, but now we're in a position where we're bringing a vessel into service at the beginning of the summer season. So we should have better weather where we can learn how to drive the boat, and then as the wind speeds increases, we get into autumn and into the winter, we'll be at a stage where we're really quite comfortable with the vessel, and we're able to progress with the weather as we get into the more challenging time of year.
Maybe the real test over the summer is the passenger side and the catering crew and how they cope with large numbers of passengers, because there was 190 passengers on the ship on the way across today, but the ship can take 450, and I guess those figures will get closer as the summer draws in. And
we've just in the next couple of weeks we'll probably have the busiest week for Islay and the Isle of Islay for the Whisky Festival.
Right.
So that'll probably be passenger numbers. That'll be our busiest of the year, or is normally. So we'll see how it copes. Good to get us into a routine. We've got a few extra crew on the retail side at the moment, just to share the burden and just get us into a routine, because, like you say, setting everything up new, it does take time.
I noticed you said having the sticks, not the wheel. Is that something? Is that terminology that's become part of the new CalMac, that the wheels have kind of gone now? It's the sticks that.
So we drive by sticks up here, and we're not just teaching my own team. You'll see one of the captains I've had on today. He's being asked to go to boat 3 and 4, so this is his first look at it today. Within a few hours, he's already sold. He wants to go to the third boat. So hopefully, in the next couple of days, we'll get his onboard induction done, and then we can get him having goes at driving the vessel.
It's impressive, isn't it? It's the first of class, and like you said before, you kind of you're writing the book as you go along. But I noticed you've been here for a while. I mean, how does it compare to other ships that you've had to look after? I mean, is it a complete kind of different way of working, and from the minute you get on, it feels like a different ship, and the vibration isn't as there. The way it handles, as you say, is different. So is it kind of having to really rethink seamanship?
A definite change, because I stood by the boat for 18 months, and a lot of the stuff I was doing out in Turkey and commissioning work and different stuff, I've not done for almost 20 years. I've not done it in CalMac. I did it in cruise ships when I was there before, with a couple of the new builds that they had there. So it's very much getting the grey matter working again and trying to pull in old resources, but there's so much has changed. Technology's moved on so quickly. So it was on the job learning, and now we're back here. It's very much trying to pass on that learning, because the next crews aren't going to get the same length of time as us. We've seen it warts and all. We've seen it from the nuts and bolts right up. So there's lots of information that the team that were out there, the chief engineers, the masters, we've got that, and it's trying to pass on all the important bits, the weaknesses of the boat, the strengths of the boat. So it's got to be, it's warts and all. The weaknesses are probably the most important bit to know, and everything has them.
But there seems to be a real pride in the vessel. I mean, and it's such a lovely ship to be in, that the crew clearly like being here. There seems to be a great camaraderie, and the passengers we've spoken to today, who maybe knew the older ships, are kind of blown away, particularly with the kind of number of windows and visibility, and they can see what they're sailing through right forwards or sideways, and yeah, the passengers are really impressed and the crew seem happy. And yeah, just thank you for accommodating the Full Ahead podcast on the Isle of Islay today. And I hope you have many kind of safe and happy sailings through the summer with lots of passengers. And yeah, Captain Barry Scott, thank you very much for your time.
It's great. Thank you. Thanks very much.
So Nigel, we're back at Kennacraig ferry terminal. The Isle of Islay is discharged and she's loading back now, heading back to the island for her layover tonight. What are your thoughts? What do you think? What about the new ship?
I was saying to Harvey earlier in the podcast, it's like a TARDIS, because from the outside, as we look across now, it doesn't look that big, does it? It looks kind of, as you'd expect, an inter-island ferry. But on board, when you see the engine room, the passenger area, the sun deck, the saloon areas as well, and the bridge, the massive bridge, it's like a TARDIS inside, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think the windows, so many windows, it feels so kind of light and airy inside. The passenger areas, you can see out so well. The bridge, you've got the floor-to-ceiling windows. It just feels kind of light and airy. I mean, it's 93 metres by 16 metres, 4 metre draft. It's not the biggest ship in the world, but certainly it felt nice. Clearly been built well, and clearly there's a lot of pride in the crew and the passengers who seem to enjoy travelling on it. It was great to speak to those passengers too, and so nice to catch up with Harvey a year on from when we first spoke to Harvey in the very first episode of the Full Ahead podcast. It's nice to catch up with Harvey, hear about what he's been doing for the last year, both out in the shipyard and then delivering the ship and now working on board the vessel. Just nice to catch up with him as well, wasn't it?
Oh, he's great, isn't he? If you could bottle what he's got, you would never have any problems recruiting people, because he's just so enthusiastic, as indeed are the rest of the crew we spoke to, and the passengers as well. They're good things to say about the ship. So there we go, the west of Scotland. Where are we off next then?
And if this episode has inspired you to find out more about CalMac or visit the Scottish Islands, then get online, get on the CalMac website, loads of great information there. There's also a podcast called Scottish Island Adventures. I'd thoroughly recommend that. It tells you stories about the islands, stories about some of the fleet and the history of CalMac. So yeah, after you've listened to the Full Ahead podcast, maybe tune into Scottish Island Adventures and hear more about CalMac.
Thanks for listening to the Full Ahead podcast. Ta-da! Take 26.
Congratulations to CalMac on the new ferry, and to Harvey Finney too for his continued seagoing success. You can hear more from Harvey, who talks in detail to Alistair about an eventful delivery voyage from Turkey to Scotland in a bonus edition of the podcast available now. And you can see a couple of videos we made while we're aboard too. Just go to our YouTube channel to view them. Our thanks to Fiona Borland and the rest of the CalMac team for looking after us aboard, and we hope to return to Scotland in the very near future.
Personal note as well, thanks to Harvey. It's been so amazing for me personally to see Harvey grow from that first letter he sent me all those years ago to him being on the helm of a ship, taking us out of a port on a brand new ship for CalMac. Yeah, it really kind of made my day. It was amazing.
You sound like a proud father, Alistair.
It was just an emotional moment for me.
Yeah, it certainly was. And yeah, the video really comes across, as you'll see. Go to the YouTube channel to have a look. We'll be releasing future editions of the podcast on a Friday morning, so you can enjoy over the weekend or on your Monday morning commute. Be sure to subscribe now.
And coming up in future episodes, we've got my little Finnish adventure to the island of Åland, and then we're going to be speaking to a tug captain from Bristol who's becoming a digital sensation.
Until next time, thanks for listening to the Full Ahead podcast, proudly sponsored by Stena Line, the Irish Sea's leading ferry company.